Hey everybody, welcome back. LinkedIn Live. I'm Bill Caskey. We do this pretty much every Friday at 8:30. Today's topic is 7 profit strategies. Now, I know that some of you don't really care much about profit. You're not in the position where you're either paid on it or you oversee it. So if you're a CFO, obviously you do, CEO, founders, leaders, venture capital, you're all interested in profitability. Some of you may not be. If you're not interested, I don't know if this will make sense. I don't think the 7 I'm going to give you, you usually think of these as profit makers. In fact, I know you don't. So maybe it can help all of you. So I'm going to go down that path. You know, we did a webinar this week called How to Command a Premium Price in a Commodity Market. Had an awesome attendance, had a lot of people attend. I think that topic is a really hot topic right now. And I shared with the group some strategies that they can use with their people. These are very specific. These are even more specific than what I shared on the webinar. And so I would like to hear from you as I go through these 7. Put it in the comments. I'm not going to be able to actually answer in the comments, but I will post facto. I will after this event's over. So I'll come back and answer any questions that you have or any comments. But I would like to hear whether you like these or agree with these or not. This comes from a document I did about a year ago, excuse me, called the 15 Profit Amplifiers. And I picked things that were specific to the sales process. So these are not things like raise your price, cut your cost, lower your, it's not about that. It's really what can we do in the sales process to cut our sales cost and thereby improve profitability. So these are things you can control, things you can implement almost immediately. Excuse me, some of these things don't have any cost to them either. So I want to give you things that you can use. I don't know what's wrong with my throat here. I guess I got some peanut butter stuck in it. If you would like to bring these things into your company or think that I can help you in some other way, if you're inclined, I'm happy to field a call. You can go to scheduleacallwithcaskey.com. It's a 30-minute Zoom call. We can talk a little bit about your team, what we do, and you got to be committed to this if you're going to have that conversation, because I ask you some pretty hard questions, and you need to be open to see if we can help you or not. So let's talk about 7 of these 15. And I'm not going to go through all 15, obviously. So here's number 1. Number 1 is the 30-day action plan. Every one of your people on your team, and if it's you that is a team member, must have a 30-day action plan. 30 days. I've got one here in our business. It's an overall strategy document, but inside here are the 30-day action plans, and I do one every month. I do it in the last week of the prior month. And so why is this a profit maker? Well, we are interested in productivity, aren't we? I mean, isn't that one of the things that will really help improve profit? And if our productivity is down, our profitability will be down. If our people aren't producing results because they have no plan, then we won't be able to cover fixed costs, and you know, every incremental deal that comes in adds enormous value to the profitability number, because your fixed costs are all accounted for. So I believe that if we can just get 5% more productive, if your team can get 5 to 10% more productive by having a plan, then it's going to create all sorts of extra margin for you, because people are going to be more productive, they're going to sell more, they're going to have more opportunities. All right, so that's number 1. Number 2 is, and this is going to sound weird, but here it is. I think a profit builder is a visual sales process. A visual sales process is a graphic a replication of your sales process, so that you know where you are at all times, your people do, and your customer does too. We forget. Our customer, it matters to them if they know where we're taking them. And I've got a whole different set of instructions on, once they become clients of yours, how you can improve that. But in the sales process itself, if you don't have it graphically illustrated so that a person can look at that and they'll say, okay, well, that makes a lot of sense, then here's what happens. Here's why this is a profit killer. Deals drag on too long. your value doesn't get communicated properly because they don't know exactly where you're going. So their likelihood of paying a premium to go somewhere they're not sure where they're going is it's unlikely. So I want you to have a visual sales process. It will speed things up. It'll reduce your cost of sale because your people will also be able to enforce the guardrails and rules in that sales process. If you don't have one, you're a hostage to the customer. And if you want to lower profit, just continue to be a hostage to the customer. It's not good for you. All right, let's go to number 3. Number 3 here is what I call Rembrandts in the attic. I think that you have extreme knowledge that you don't share. And I don't know why you don't share it. I don't know why you don't do LinkedIn Lives like this every week or every couple of weeks or once a month. I don't know why you don't post on LinkedIn. I don't know why you don't shoot helpful videos or audios or interview some of your smart people in your company. I don't know why it strikes me as kind of a non-generous move, almost like we are holding our best stuff back. I mean, you listen to Gary Vaynerchuk and some of the folks, Alex Hermosi, who have the biggest followings and do the biggest numbers. They don't hold anything back. So what are you holding back? Are you holding back some kind of proprietary thing that nobody else has, that you think if it gets out that everybody's going to rush to rebuild it? Well, don't share that. But what about the other 95 things that you could share? And if you have Rembrandts in the attic, you have painting, you have assets that are in the attic in your company. I don't mean in the attic literally. I just mean that aren't being used. You start using them. When you share your expertise, more people come to you. And when they come to you, guess what? They don't care as much about price because you have positioned yourself as the thought leader, as the expert. So if you have value and knowledge that you're not sharing and your profitability is not where it needs to be, that could be one reason. Because when you have more inbound calls, because you're sharing more, your price, you command a higher price because you don't have to discount as much. You're seen as the thought leader, as an expert, so you don't have to discount as much. All right, let's go to number 4. Number 4 is I want you and your people to start thinking audience, not prospects. I think we think of our email list. We think of it as a list. We think of our LinkedIn connections as a list of people. And I don't think we serve that list well when we think of them that way. I think it's better if you think of that list as your audience. What is there about an audience that's different from a list? Well, an audience are people who have needs and wants and desires, and they want to learn more about how you can help them do better. But if we just see it as a list, like I'm convinced that the email blast set emailers back 10 years. If you ever utter the words email blast around me, I will probably fire you as a client. I might let you down slowly, but don't say the words email blast. Email blast is just a checklist. You're just shoving crap out, hoping somebody raises their hand and say, okay, there's some crap that company sent out. I think, no, think about audience. What does your audience want? What would appeal to them? What kind of value do they want? What kind of problems do you solve? So when you start to think of your business and your lists and your constituents and cohorts as an audience, you immediately drop into a new mode when you're creating content for them. So why is this a profit builder? You get clear on your audience, you get clear on what their needs are, you create content that speaks to those needs. They call you because they have a pain or a problem, and they pay you more because they don't want to hassle with other people who don't understand them. You are serving them by creating content from the Rembrandts in the attic, number 3, and because you're looking at them as an audience, they will feel that. It'll feel differently to them than 4 other companies, your competitors, who just send out crap all the time. All right? So, think audience. Good for profitability. Number 5, profit builder. Be better at finding problems. Don't be better at solving them yet. Be better at finding them. Whenever I hear, you used to hear this when when you would ask them, what are you really good at? Problem solving. Really good at problem solving. Well, that's okay, but I want to hire people and be around people who are problem finders. Now, they're not finding problems where there are none. I'm not talking about that kind of Debbie Downer problem finder. I'm talking about a person who is not quick to solve until they really diagnose. Your people, your team, if they become better at diagnosing the customer's problem, this is how it'll build profit, the customer will trust them more because the customer or prospect will feel like they really understand them because your salesperson or you have asked them a lot of questions. You become insatiably curious about their business and about their issues and where they want to go and what's stopping them. And when the customer believes that you understand them, they will pay more for that solution than they will with someone who just comes in and pitches pots and pans. So your ability and your team's ability to find problems and then solve them, obviously you have to solve them at some point, is going to help your profitability. So that's how it works. You get better at that, people are more likely to do business with you at your price because everybody wants to be understood. They want you to know what their problem is so that you can address the solution in the best possible way. All right, number six, clear belief in your economic value. If your people do not believe in your value, and this goes for everybody in your company too. I'm not just talking about frontline salespeople. I think everybody in your company needs to believe in the value that you bring because everything that they do in a way gets back to that if you're a customer-focused organization. If you're not, then maybe not. But clear belief in economic value, meaning what are the economics of your value? When you go into a company and you sell them and you engage with them, what's the economic impact you can have? Now, you're going to say, oh, Bill, I can't do that. Every company's different. Well, generally, you have some kind of an idea. Like when I go into a company, if a VP of sales calls me in, then I'm going to want to know what are your current closing rates? How many proposals do you do a month? What are the numbers? What's the math of the business? Because if I can understand the math, I will start to understand the economic value that I can bring. So you need to understand the math of your customer. Then you need to understand how you can impact that math by bringing value. That's what I mean by economic value. If your people don't believe in that, then it's going to be really hard to translate. And in a way, a lot of sales professionals, sales amateurs, don't believe that matters. I think the economic value matters a lot. All right, number 7, last one. Stop selling, start guiding. If you ever hear your people on the phone pitching, and maybe because they've heard sales trainers tell them how to do it, and working through all these manipulative angles like the tie down and all this crap that sales trainers are out there teaching to this day, I know some large sales training organizations who are still teaching what I will call manipulative tactics. And you know what? You don't need to do that. In fact, you shouldn't do that because this way is better. So stop selling, meaning stop pitching. Stop trying to convince people to work with you. Instead, see yourself as a guide that's going to help your customer get from point A, wherever they are over here, to point B, wherever they want to go and wherever you can take them. They may want to go places you can't take them, or you may be able to take them places they don't want to go. So those A and B have to be really well laid out. But once you understand where A is and where B is, you're the guide. You're the one that helps them get there. You're the one that helps them overcome the mistakes and the roadblocks and all the things that could happen on that journey from A to B. If you would see yourself as a guide, here's why it's good for profitability. Because you will, A, not take people on that you can't guide. Because if you get down, some of you are in the consulting business or the the knowledge business, the advisory business, where you want to work with people. If you can't work with them, it's going to be a direct shot at profitability. You're going to spend way too much time with people. You're going to chase them for money. They're not going to be good prospects. And it all gets back to how you sold them. You pitch them instead of guiding them. A guide recognizes early if there's anybody on the trek that can't make it. That's what a guide should do, is like, don't think the 3-year-old should be on this 20-mile hike up Mount Kilimanjaro. Don't think they're going to make it. So the parents too, you can't go. I mean, it's a terrible analogy, but I want you to be the guide to the point where you say who gets on board and who doesn't. That's what a guide does. And then once the people are on board, you got the right people on the bus, and boom, we're taking off. And you are helping them navigate the terrain. Just think of a guide, a Sherpa, somebody who does that for a living. Just think of all the traits and the virtues and attributes of that person. And that's exactly what I want you to be. So if you'll do those 7 things, they don't cost you much to do. If you want to talk to me personally about how I can help you do those, I'm happy to. But you don't need me for some of those. I mean, if you do all 7, you will be remarkable. I would say ultimately you need to do all 7. Make it a checklist and just start checking off the ones, and which one appeals to you most. Which one of those 7? Put it in the chat, and I'll comment on it later. Which one appeals to you the most? So hopefully that has been helpful. I want you to build profitability, but I don't want you to do it always at the expense level, at the cost reduction and raw materials. I want you to do it at the efficiency level, productivity of your sales team. Okay, I loved it today. I hope this has been helpful. We'll do next week. I think we may get into a little bit of how to avoid the commodity dungeon next week. It's a place we don't want to go. All right, I'll see you. Have a great